Welcome to our RPGaday Challenge 2017. This is my first year participating in this thing, and I'm mixed opinions on it. I find some of the questions a little bland or less pertinent, but then I'm like, I don't know. I like to debate stuff. I'm a debater if I can get away with it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say that. You know what the phrase such and such debater. Anyway, question number 7 for our challenge for the year 2017 is what was your most important RPG session? You know, I've tried to quantify that. I put my head back and I looked at them. What was my most important one? Well, there's a lot of them. They were important for one reason or another, for personal reasons or for connectivity, where I met a friend, a person who eventually became a long-term friend, or when sessions broke up and it caused the group to fall apart. And it was important because it changed the dynamic, or it changed my gaming habits for some time. A new game came along and it was the thing, and like they all do, your newest game right now is the thing, and in another year, 2 years, or whatever, the next thing will come along, and you'll be holding back saying, well, it was a good system, I still have all the bugs, blah, 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 but, it's not quite like it was before, oh, it's just old Pathfinder, like we've got Pathfinder 7.75.92, it's like the Dungeons and Dragons, everybody likes to rail on something when it's convenient. You know what, roll your die, bud, roll your dice. Anyway, I can't say that there's any one most important RPG session. I could cop out and say, of course, it would be my first one, and perhaps that's what I'll have to do. I don't know if you remember your first gaming session. In my luck, this will be a question that comes up later. I glanced over them, but it's hard for me to read the list that I have because it's a secondhand download by the looks of it. When I was 9-ish, 8, 9, something in there. My best friend, his brother bought the original stuff, and he had in his basement a Foot Locker along with about a gajillion comic books. And we were in elementary school, and we would get out on Wednesdays 2 hours before the high school did. So we could get down to his house in about 15 minutes from the school on our bikes and spend an hour and a half playing the game that his brother didn't know we were using his books, and we're just exploring something that was and to me it was completely world changing for me, I guess. Without going into a lot of personal dredge, I had a very convoluted life growing up, and I had many, many, many challenges as a youth that, well, on one hand, was idyllic life for some people, and on the other hand, a complete horror, depending on how you look at it now. I didn't look at it at that point. I just was confused. Anyway, the game, we played the first edition of Basic Dungeons and Dragons, the red box, which is the first thing I bought. Shortly out the next year, when I could find a way to get into town to get one, that in and of itself is a story. But it opened up an opportunity. I was always a huge reader. I was reading books as early as 6. I remember reading the original Swiss Family Robinson, the first print, and the book was the yay thick and old school English. So it really had some very complicated for a 6-year-old, and it surely, most certainly, was not the Disney version of it. I'm sorry, but it wasn't. Anyway, I read a lot as an escape. I was trying to escape from a lot of different things. And so the opportunity to actually immerse myself in a make-believe world, a fantasy world, with so much structure, the mechanics, the game system, the flavor, the colors, the pre-made stuff that helped form and box this fantasy setting was just outside of my ability to describe, even at the moment. So I would have to say perhaps the first day I played D&D. Now, had it been another game system, wouldn't have mattered because I was desperate for something that opened up vast opportunities of the imagination and the mind that I was starving for as a youth and didn't know it. And over the decades since, this has been my solitude on occasion. This has been my sanctuary on occasion. This has been my lifeline, what's kept me borderline sane, even though I dealt with and I still deal with, uh, you know, people and situations that rail against it. They don't get it. They don't understand, or they don't care, and they don't want to understand. They just don't think, you know, well, this is the sort of things a real man would do. Really? Yeah, well, you know what you can do with your real man theory. I've never had anybody truly explain to me what the hell a real man is supposed to do. So I game. I enjoy the game. I read about it. I study it. I create it. I'm working on creating it. I promote it. I support others who enjoy it. You know, there you go. What's more important than that, right? Tell the next question.